Please believe me when I tell you today it's cold as a whore's heart. I got a new project came in. It's a little 350 4-speed car. We parked it outside. I went to bring it in the shop yesterday and I can't even shift it. I mean, it is cold. 80, 90 apparently and 20 below don't get along. But it obviously won't start. Anyway, you won't want her to go by quick though. Get a couple project cars and have everybody want them for spring. Winter go by damn quick. It's already February. If that doesn't sound great if you're looking for spring, it sounds pretty quick if you're trying to get rigs done. So a little 350 here is going to go into 52, or 327 I should say, is going to go into 52. And I had it all together and put the water pump on, and lo and behold, this 2-piece time cover is rather thick. There's no putting the water pump on. So I had to pull the pan back off and ordered another timing cover, and we'll put this bad boy back together. And I got a few accessories I was missing, water neck, a few things like that. So I like just a real thin bead of RTV around everything. Well, that's right stuff actually. And my friend Brian has a heart attack because he has a silicone phobia. But it works. And stuff doesn't leak. If these things are leaking, when you've done all this, you probably have an internal problem. Because you'll see some guys come up and they'll squawk, oh, it's leaking on the front and rear main. And it's like, yeah, you bought an Eagle crank. It's cracked. Or everything's gone out of it. Normally when you see that, they get some cheap ass crank, usually cracked, bearings are gone, and she's leaking on the ends. Because you don't very often see a tight one leak. At least I don't. Not doing them like this. This is the way to get them done. These little electric impacts, these things are save your butt, or the ratchets. They make things so much quicker. And they don't over torque, which is quite nice. You can take a little bolt like this and go in. I mean, you don't want to be stupid, but that bolt looks too long. Is it too long? Maybe that hole's got some crap at the bottom of it. That washer didn't torque. It's all right now. I have done these before and you run. So the old tin timing covers, they got a little mark in them. They'll leak. That's one thing I love these cast covers. They hold nice and firm. They're cheap too. Get these from RCP. They don't cost anything. That's the way to go. They come with a seal, come with a gasket, come with a water pump gasket. But I don't know what the hell these things are. If they're some kind of metric socket or what they are, but they don't fit my ratchet. They don't fit my Allen wrench is super good. It drives them in there fine, but you can't get it back out. Now the acid test. Let's see if this thing will fit. This is not an oddball water pump. There's no reason. I've never seen one of these bother like that before. That old motor when I bought it had a long water pump on it. Jesus, it's close though. It is really close. I don't know why this thing is thick as it is. It will work, but kind of odd. I've never had one of those bother like that. I will. This also has an outset here, but I've used these on short water pumps before with never an issue. When I put this thing on and torque it down, I'll have to check the impeller to make sure it's not pushing on this plate and giving me any trouble here. I guess that's next before I get too involved here. I'll torque that down and see where the hell that goes. I got a bolt kit here. This is actually pretty handy. It's a Moroso bolt kit. It's fairly cheap. They're not as nice, they're not as fancy as the ERP bolts, but it does everything. If you got one, you're missing a bunch of hardware for. And cheap money. It's Moroso Milodon 83001. That's a little kit. Has everything. Carburetor studs, the whole deal. I think it was like 90 bucks. But, you know, the price of bolts right now, if you start buying everything individually, you're gonna spend that. It's got the valve cover studs, which actually I really like. It's pretty nicely kit. We'll get the old water pump bolts out. Torque that bad boy on there and see what we got. Yes, they send these bolts for short and long water pump, which actually that's kind of not all bad. Some of these bolts on this side I have to change. I've got a pretty nice alternator bracket set up. You got a car like this that has a straight neck on the water, straight shot to the radiator, it works excellent. If you have the other type, maybe not so much. That darn bolt is kind of short. She gets in there anyway. It's a little longer, it's a touch longer. Well, we'll have a few extra bolts to throw in the bolt bin. There's that. It's making good contact with the gasket, so not bothering the impeller. Everything's good. Good stuff. Now, I'll put the oil pan back on. This is something I really started doing race motors. You get one up and hone it over 7 grand for half an hour on an oval track. If it's got an oil leak, I can guarantee you're going to find it. My God, that fits tight in there. I wonder if I have to use a small gasket. Guess it'll go. And I like to put a little bit right there in the corner, under and over those rubber gaskets. That little corner is a great place to leak. And then right up over your rubber gasket. You don't want to get a bunch on there because you don't want it to squish into the pan and start picking up silicone in your oil pump screen, which I have seen. And that's not a very good scenario. Of course, I've seen a green rag in the oil pump screen before. That was a lot worse. Should have seen our faces when we saw that. Buddy comes up, truck doesn't have any oil pressure. We start digging into it. Take the oil pan off. Looking in the oil pump screen, it's like, geez, what the hell's that? Start looking at in the oil pan, there's this pile of stuff in there. I'm thinking, must be, he had the intake on the shelf. I think it was sitting on a green microfiber towel. It sucked it, down into the cam. I don't know, it didn't seem to hurt anything. It just the bearings all looked perfect, everything, but I mean, the truck, he drove around, everything was fine, and all of a sudden the oil pressure. A little bit of research, we found it, and cleaned it up, and it was all good, but one of the damnedest things I've ever seen. So for Christmas, we gave him a great big package of green microfiber towels. I didn't think it's as funny as we did, but, I guess it depends where you are and on the whole deal to figure out whether it's funny or not. This is a nice little setup. Little 3/8 heads on these oil pan bolts, which will help a little bit sometimes. Sometimes you get these, they're kind of tight and you get a little shoulder on them. Pretty nice little bolt. Actually fairly impressed with this kit. First time I tried it. I think I'll buy more than I'll put maybe a couple of these in stock, because when we're building these motors, you're just constantly raiding the bolt cabinet and getting to where the damn bolts are fortune now. I've got a grade 8 bolt set up there from Fastenal. Seems like every time you reach in there, you spend $1. I mean, there's a lot of bolts in one of these things. It doesn't take long. And this thing will have all fresh hardware. It'd be nice. And won't put you in the poorhouse doing it. And they even give me extras. I put a few extras. Maybe it's timing cover too. Yep, oil pan and timing cover. So I got more bolts to go in the bolt bin. Yes, sir. 3/8. about this thing. If something doesn't feel right, just use it like a regular ratchet and just kind of double check it. Make sure you get it where you want it. Clean up the corners here just a little bit. Get that motor high on that engine stand. Not very well balanced. Now, intake bolts, forget them because we've already got them in there. And then, I guess next is our water neck. The water neck. Then pray it doesn't leak. It's funny, you don't see, or didn't see, just a straight neck. Ideally what I should have. But this should be good. These are usually pretty good. But it's another, it's another joint in there that technically could leak, but shouldn't leak. Don't know without a thermostat. Should be alright. I don't usually bother with thermostat. I know a lot of people do. They seem to claim they cool better if you restrict your water a bit, but I've not really seen it. But if he wants a thermostat, I'll put one in. Anyway, not like we have a gasket deal with this O-ring. I had to get an Allen wrench. There, we'll go with that. I've been playing Where's Waldo trying to find tools. I kind of quit filming there for a bit, but long story short, this is a Allstar alternator bracket. Allstar stuff is kind of for a budget-minded racer, and it works out super good when you're building these cars because it doesn't cost you a fortune to set something up that works and works in a racing environment. So you know damn well it's getting the shit honed out of it. It'll work there, it'll work on the street pretty well. So this is Allstar, this is Allstar, this pulley set is from Allstar. Pretty nice stuff overall. I really can't complain. It comes with 2 belts just to run directly from the crank to the water pump pulley. I went ahead and threw the 1 belt on there so you have a little safety if you if you ever sling an alternator belt or something, at least you're still driving your water pump. And I'll put obviously a different length belt to get up to my alternator. But anyway, I guess what else? I don't know, just 1 wire alternator. I usually use these things. These are simple, easy. And I'm just piecing everything together, make sure nothing hits, bangs. I really don't care much for these fans, but the guy brought it here. He already bought it for the car, so I went ahead and put it on. I did test it, the engine, when I set the mounts. And I even dropped the radiator in. Everything does clear, so I just went ahead and used it. I was looking for an excuse not to use it, couldn't find one, so I left it at that. But these things are an atomic bomb. They're just, you see them tear all kinds of shit up. So that next deal is, I guess I gotta put the crank bolt in, and then I'll probably get the carb studs out and test fit the carb in the air filter, make sure it doesn't hit this. because I got the big 14-inch air filter, and then I'll be screwed if that happens. But they've got a nice air filter that kind of matches these thin covers. I'd like to use it. This late model 327. It's a big journal, so you got both small journal engines didn't have it. I have sometimes drilled them. It is a nice accessory to have. And then, so yeah, carburetor. I don't really care for the carburetor that much you bought, but it's probably good enough for what this is. One of those little 600 vacuum secondary things. They kind of suck, but you know. I mean, it isn't going to make the power this motor could make without on it. Long story short. But I don't get it. He's trying to build a race car. This thing might be a little scary to drive if it did make the power it could make. So. Another Allstar part. I bought a whole box of those things, so I'm always missing them. So I had a box of 10. But they're going fast. Because every time somebody takes a motor, I lose one. Tape's been on here far too long. I think I got that valve cover on there. Back asswards anyway. So it's gonna hit the rocker arms. I'll probably pull them off, put these studs in. Is what I'm thinking. Definitely not going to fit a spacer. Installation instructions. There is a little doodad here that I may have to read the instructions for, but I think it comes with its own little set of instructions. I have not seen that particular device before. But now this is a 4-hole castration machine that some people would call a carburetor. I wouldn't be one of them. That is a 600 at the very best, which some trained professional told him he needed. I would disagree. But he done bought it, so I'm gonna call him the owner and I'm not worried about it too much. It's not something I'd sell a customer. Probably overpaid for it because he didn't buy it from everything horsepower. It does bother me when I build a motor and I can't make it make the right horsepower because of castration components like this. But again, out of my control. And this here, I am bolting on here for nothing. Oh, I hate these carburetors. I'm bolting on here for nothing, but I want to just check fit of everything. See what the hell I got going on. So Because I'll pull it back off and put it in the car and I'll put the plate back on it. These parts here are another thing, pretty cheap. These RCPs, RPC. Sadly Chinese, but so is everything else you buy. A lot of the expensive stuff you buy is Chinese. So. Kind of one of those things. There. Look at that. Pretty good with the valve covers. Hurry a little bit. Yep. Look at that. Everything fits. Except for this screw that's 14 miles long. What in the world? Well, throw this sucker down. See how many feet you gotta cut off it. Measure that. Measure what's sticking up. Go to hacking. Starting to look pretty good though. We did have this. This looks like a little return spring setup. Might be kind of cool. Pull this bag off for now. I'll probably deal with this 400-mile long bolt at a later date. Maybe not. I'll see. I'm going to deal with these valve covers first. And this little shitting thing here. Looks like a little return spring setup. It might be kind of nice. So it's an odd little thing. But I'm thinking maybe I'll put it there. Oh, they're lock washers. We'll throw them away. It's going to be fun to put on. It's right under the gas hose. So they give you this thing, not bolted to the base plate. So I guess you could take the base plate off the carburetor and put it on yourself after, because I think that's what's going to happen. Oh. I seriously doubt I'm going to get a wrench on there. And when I say seriously doubt, I ain't kidding you. I might be able to do this all wrong and make it work. My Allen wrench is too small, I think. Or I just can't get it in there with the shit. Oh, you dirty bastard. Won't find that when I need it. Hope after all this is worth of shit. Those Allen screws are not tight. They're in there. Oh, what the hell is this? Alright, so this is a moment of pure desperation where we actually look at the instructions. Kick down a return spring bracket for Ford. I thought they were trying to do something with it. A little nifty return spring. So that's what you get for not reading instructions. We'll put that part away carefully where we can use it in the future. Fill the garbage can. Okay. Now, I said I put these valve covers on backwards. And probably most of you have done this. I don't know how I have to do this, but I usually check this pretty carefully. If you do this and hear a really funny noise when you're running in a big valve tick, this is usually the cause. But if you take that valve cover and you look at it straight on, you can see this side is tipped and this side is straight. Well, that straight side needs to go towards the intake. Otherwise, the rocker arm is rubbing inside. And you can actually see where it turned over by hand and they rubbed a little bit. So we're going to swap sides with these because I want the breathers in the place they're at. If I do that, no, I won't. Yes. Yeah. Test one of these little suckers before we get too committed, make sure they're long enough. For these valve covers. Yes, sir. All right. Yeah. Didn't accomplish anything, did it? Oh well. Could have just turned them around. ones, they don't really want to be threaded in there all the way. Might should lock that in there. I think that's what I'll do. Put blue on it so they will come out if we have to. Well, she's all put together and ready to drop in. I just have to put the frost plugs in the back of it. I'm gonna take it off the stand. Obviously bolt flywheel on it and everything. But as far as what it's sitting on the stand, that's all we can do. It's good to go. Got a new hold down. Those are another thing we buy from Allstar. They're like $8 or something. We're never have them damn things. That and timing markers. So it's good to buy those in bulk. I don't know where they all go. They get eaten somewhere. But that's it. She's ready to rock. New plugs in it and everything. Of course, the motor's fresh. Everything's new and everything looks good. Everything seems to line up all right for the pulleys and everything. So pretty happy with that. Those headers should tuck in there good. They got to get by this steering. This exhaust pipe here, you have to really make a hook in it, but we'll do that. So I'm gonna wrap that baby up where it's not gonna get covered in paint fumes, and then we're gonna paint this part kind of from here out. We'll do all this up into the front part of the door jamb and everything. Like I say, we'll hang up whatever little stuff we can. We get inner fenders and rad sport. The backside of these fenders, I don't think they'll be getting done right now on the backside of the hood. I don't think I'll have room to put them all, but maybe. Whatever I can spray, I'm gonna spray, nail. And then that nose can go on the car. And once the nose is on and everything's wrapped up there, taped up good, we'll do jams and inside the trunk jam. And we're gonna paint all this interior stuff. Dash will be red, and all the tin work will be red. Well, that's coming up, and we're gonna get all that done, and then we'll do this exterior.